All right. We're live.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. This is Tanya Friedman coming to you from a beautiful San Diego this morning with our esteemed legal panel. I wanted to introduce everybody, but before we do that, I just want to check that we're live. Jacob, I don't see that we're live right now.
We are live.
Oh.
It says we're live. Here we have 10 people on.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
Yes, I can see it too.
It's Friday, everybody. Friday Facebook Live with Tanya and our panel of esteemed lawyers. We're very excited to be bringing you some additional questions today. Before we start out, I just wanted to give a shout out to the Lafora team. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity. I especially want to thank Louise, Jean, Paul, and all the other admin team. Because the reason why we're doing these Facebook Live sessions once a month is for many years we've been watching as you have been asking each other legal questions, and of course we didn't have any legal expertise in the Facebook group, and now we have that. So it was really important to me. I was an immigrant myself many years ago. I know how stressful it can be, how challenging, how exciting, but also frustrating it can be. And when we're dealing with legal questions, it can be a little overwhelming. So we wanted to make sure that we shed some light on your legal questions. So we're gonna start off by just a quick introduction. Jacob, for some reason, I'm not seeing it live in my Lafora app because I want to.
It is live. It's do you see it, Chris?
I do.
Yeah,
We're about 50 viewers right now.
We have 50 viewers now.
Okay, perfect. Welcome everybody. Please introduce yourself in the chat box and let us know who you are and where you are living and what your questions are. We're going to try and answer as many questions as we can for you. So I'm going to do a brief introduction. I believe that Louise is also going to be posting the bios of the lawyers, but I wanted to just do a very brief introduction, just a summary about each of the lawyers on our panel. And they were chosen with care, by the way, for everybody to know, because these are probably the best legal minds in the country who are specializing in immigration. So first of all, attorney Carl Schusterman, over 40 years of experience, served as a trial attorney for the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service from 1976 to 1982. He is one of the very limited number of attorneys who have been designated as certified specialists in immigration and naturalization law by the California State Bar. For more than 10 years, he's been voted as one of the best lawyers in America, a super lawyer by his colleagues at the bar, featured in February 2018 issue of Super Lawyers magazine, been named one of the top 15 corporate immigration lawyers in the US by Human Resources Executive magazine. He has been listed in the International Who's Who of Corporate Immigration Lawyers and Chamber USA Guide for Leading Business Lawyers. And welcome to Carl.
Thank you, Tanya.
Moving over to Chris. Chris is Musula Unkenhold Managing Partner, and he is a moderator of Lafora. He's been an immigration attorney since graduating from the University of Cincinnati College of Law in 1998, specializes in immigration for healthcare. His client base is wide-ranging and includes the largest healthcare companies in the US. Prior starting at MU, Chris was a partner at a large Midwestern immigration law firm, also specializing in nursing. He has been featured in the American Immigration Lawyers Association annual publications. You'll forgive me this morning if I'm a little slow. I flew in very late last night from the East Coast. We were seeing some of our new clients on the East Coast, so I'm a little tired this morning. Chris has been selected as a speaker at many national and international conferences for organizations such as ILA, Staffing Industry Analysts, and Healthcare Careers Interaction. He co-created the Coalition to Improve Healthcare Staffing, and he has business travels has taken him around the world, including Philippines, Canada, India, Dubai, and the United Kingdom. And then last but not least, Jacob Sapochnik, managing attorney of the law offices of Jacob J. Sapochnik, is an active member of the American Immigration Lawyers Association, been invited to lecture on immigration law at various conferences in the United States abroad, published various articles on issues related to the field. He's a founder of Find Jobs USA, is one of the first job search sites focused on immigration and international workers seeking employment in the US. He has been quoted and featured on numerous newspapers, TV outlets worldwide, CNN Money, ESPN, NBC News, ABC, Fox, ABBA, Journal, KPBS, to name a few. He's written articles for various publications, and he graduated from the Manchester Metropolitan University School of Law with a Bachelor of Law degree. So, thank you to our esteemed panel. We have many people joining us this morning. We have Akatsus, we've got Mick Lopez, Kiboy Perina from Calgary, Gerald DeRosia, Kim Yu, Merlin, Apple, DG, Lorray, David, Len Yu, Patrick, Patsik, Rodelet, Naiko, Kim Yu, many people from all over the world joining us. Lorray from Walnut Creek. Hi, Lorray. I know Lorray. She's one of our nurses. So before we get to the questions at hand this morning, I noticed, Chris, that you posted into Lafora a few minutes ago in your blog the update from Charlie Oppenheim from the Department of State about the aggressive advancement in the Philippines for EB3 category. So I want to open that up to the panel and get your comments on that very exciting news. It's good news and we'll take it.
Yeah, so it was very good news. As many of you know, the Philippine EB3 visa bulletin right now is at June of 2018, which is very good. That's actually slightly under a year. Every month, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, which Carl and Jacob and I are all long-time members of, they do an interview with Charlie Oppenheim, who's the Department of State's key person on the visa bulletin. Charlie has been doing this for, many years. And what Charlie does is he is the one who actually produces the dates for the visa bulletin. And at the monthly AILA interviews, AILA attorneys have the opportunity to ask Charlie where he sees the visa bulletin going in the future. And so the most recent update from Charlie was just posted this week, and then we cross-posted it to the Lafora group, and it's very good news. It says that even though the visa bulletin for Philippine EB3 has been aggressively moving forward, he sees that to continue to be the case throughout the summer. And that he has not seen an increase in demand for Philippine EB3 visas, which is actually good news for all Philippine nurses, because if there's less demand for those visas, the shorter the visa bulletin. And I can't recall a time when the visa bulletin for Philippine EB3 has been under a year like it is now. And based on what Charlie's saying, it should stay under a year for the foreseeable future. So that's just great news.
Wow.
And in fact, it's funny that he himself mentioned in his comments that he was surprised how fast it advanced, and which is true. It is surprisingly fast.
Well, I think it's great news. And as Chris said, there's probably no better time, has been no better time in many years to file a new petition. So we're very excited for that good news on the horizon. Okay, so that being said, let's move to our questions. If anybody in the chat bot would like to post questions, please feel free to go ahead. We're going to try and get through as many questions as we can. I know some of you have posted questions that you asked the Lafora team to post for you because you wanted to keep it confidential. And we, of course, respect your privacy and we will keep that confidential. I've also received questions from many people as well asking to keep it confidential. Some of you don't mind being named. So feel free to post questions. Also, please make sure to share this with your colleagues and your friends. There are many immigration questions, I'm sure, that are burning in your minds, and this is your chance to ask the experts. So moving to the first question. Hi, sir. Just wanted to ask Poe. We are planning to get married. My boyfriend is Irish nationality. He's an engineer, and I'm a nurse from the Philippines. I have one kid living in the Philippines. She's using the surname of her dad, who is not her boyfriend, my boyfriend. My questions are, if we get married, can I still bring my child without any problem, since the surname of my daughter is different from my boyfriend? So that's the first question. Well, let's maybe ask the first question to the panel. Carl, do you want to maybe take this question?
Right. Yeah, definitely you can bring your child. It doesn't matter whether the surname's the same or different.
Okay, so that's good news. And the second part of the question, is it okay to get married before my priority date will be current and there will be no problem in the visa issuance, even if he's Irish nationality? Thanks. God bless.
Yeah, that's actually a huge improvement, because that's, even though Philippines EB3, as Chris said, is down to 11 months, Irish EB3 is current, which means there's no backlogs. So if you marry somebody from Ireland, your priority date will be current instantly, and you'll be able to save several months as far as immigrating to the U.S., and you can immigrate together with your husband and your child. So that's a perfect thing to do. I would get married right away.
Okay, good. So that's good news. And I hope, I'm not sure what your name is, but I hope that you're listening, because you have good news this Friday morning. We have a question I'm taking from the group chat from Len Yu. Is it possible to be approved later if the status is annoyed? Chris, do you want to maybe take that question?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Even though the status is annoyed, that doesn't mean that the case is not going to be approved. And even if the case is by some chance denied, that doesn't have any bearing on a filing that might be done later. So while annoyed is certainly not a positive situation for your case, that's the bad news. The good news is it won't have any long-term consequence on any future case.
Okay.
Yeah, without prejudice.
Yeah, and just to tell everybody who's watching, we have had maybe like 1 or 2 NOID cases, and I believe they've been approved. So as Chris says, you know, it doesn't mean to say that you won't be approved, and obviously you might be able to do another case as well, worst case scenario, but hopefully that doesn't happen, Len Yu. Moving to another question, Teresa Cabrera, and I'm going to try and mix it up from the questions that were posted before and the questions that are in the chat. So Teresa Cabrera asks, what's the best option to petition my son, who is now 22 years old? He aged already. So I think she means that he's aged out. Jacob, you want to take that one?
So, you know, if somebody is already aged out, obviously he's not going to go through the regular petition process through the family. So he's going to have to find other options. You know, we have cases where they come as students here and they stay in the U.S. Or I assume that she hasn't petitioned for him before he turned 21, right?
Teresa doesn't say. Teresa, if you want to put into the chat if he was petitioned before, but let's assume he wasn't.
Let's assume he wasn't, and you know, they have to find other creative ways to bring the family here. So typically, if they're younger, they'll come as a tourist, as a student, or some of them who are qualified, they can come with a work visa like an H1, but they have to immigrate like anybody else in a creative way.
Well, Teresa, hopefully he'll study to be a nurse. And he can come in that way as a student. Yeah. Okay, moving to some of the questions that were posted. We had some questions that were not immigration related, so I'm going to try and answer those quickly as well. Jaxie Batista asked, do you have to have at least 2 years hospital experience or training again while applying for the US? My last hospital experience was on 2008 to 2012. So Jaxie, I can't speak for other companies, but from Kinetics USA's perspective, we have many clients, many sponsors all over the US. Most of them will require current experience, but we do have some petitioners who are in the long-term care, skilled nursing, like nursing homes, who might be willing to consider you based on your experience. We need to see your resume, but you're welcome to send it through, and we'd be happy to help you. We have a question from TextTex. If ever, as a principal applicant, I decided to choose Riyadh as my consular embassy locations, will my dependent go through the same embassy, or can I change and send them to attend in Manila, US Embassy instead? Is there a way for... Okay, so let's ask, she asks two questions, so let's go for that question first. Carl, do you want to take that one maybe?
Well, I would, while it's possible to do that, I would personally advise her to, herself and her dependents, to go through at the same embassy. Otherwise, it becomes very complicated and may take a lot of time to get your dependents into the U.S.
Okay. So text Carl's best advice, please make sure that your family go through together to eliminate any complications. And then the second question was, is there a way for the declared spouse to be removed from the petition while waiting for a divorce or annulment papers? I'm about to start the DS-260 soon.
Sure. I mean, if she's getting divorced and doesn't want her soon-to-be ex-spouse to immigrate with her, all she has to do is tell the U.S. Embassy that, and they'll take him off the list for being interviewed.
Okay, so text, I hope that helps you out in terms of your questions. Okay, we have, wow, we're getting so many questions, which is great. Keep the questions coming, everybody. We're going to try and get through as many as we can, because sometimes you might be asking a question that somebody else is thinking, so don't be shy to ask your questions. We have another confidential one. This is posted. My husband is an abandoned applicant by the previous employer. Application started 2006 and abandoned 2008. His case was sent to the Department of State since 2008. We paid the fee bill for the two of us until retrogression sets in. We are left hanging at that time and don't know what to do until my husband loses hope in his American dream. Hopefully we can help you with that. We stop at the stage of filling up the DS-260. As of last December, we found a new employer that promised to recapture his case. We're still waiting at present. My question is, so there are three parts to the question. So Chris, I think this one's going to be for you. For recaptured cases, how long is the processing to recapture a previous priority date on premium or normal application?
So if it's premium, it can usually be recaptured in 15 days. If it's normal, it's just the normal processing time, which is probably about 5 to 7 months right now. The key thing is it doesn't take any longer to file a recaptured case than a brand new case. Okay.
So the next part of the question is, once recapture is done, are we going to start all over again, or can we resume from where we stopped?
Yeah, so there'll be a new National Visa Center process. Unfortunately, you will have to pay the family fees again. You will not be able to recover those fees from 2008.
Okay, and this is very common scenario. We see this kind of scenario.
Indian nationals.
Yeah. And then the third part of the question is, if the employer can recapture the priority date this year, provided something is complete, there's a typo here, is there a possibility that we can go to the US by the end of this year? So so I think the question is, how long before they arrive in the US?
Yeah, so if the I-140 were to be approved by, say, June, I think it's pretty likely that you would have your visa interview at the embassy before the end of the year, maybe even July. Once you get past about July, I think it's probably more likely into 2020.
Okay, well, good news there. Okay, moving on. Okay, let me take one from the chat. Oh my goodness, we're getting so many questions. I've got to try and get everybody a chance to be answered. Okay, so Jacob, okay, the next one will be for you. Okay, so We have a question from Vincent Montano, who's in Saudi. Please discuss the possibility of passing as the law and impact of the Fairness for High Skill Immigration Act of 2019 for Filipino nurse immigrants. Vincent, we actually did a session on this, gosh, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So you might want to watch that session because I believe it is still recorded in LaFora. And for the panel, any other additional comments on Vincent's question?
Like we said, we didn't think that it's going to actually happen, and it's still proposed. That's important because the confusion was people were worried that it's actually already happening. It hasn't happened yet. So we hope
it's still got to go through Congress,
right,
Vincent. But you might want to watch, or if anybody's interested, please watch the session we did around 2-3 weeks ago on this act. I'm taking another one from the chat. Keyboy Perina asks, is it allowed to get separate EB3 sponsorships from different hospitals? Jacob, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so it's kind of like with regular employment cases and visas. Different employers can potentially file different petitions. It's just that I don't see it happening very often, though, because it's a very long process, and you have to prove certain things as far as employment and intention to work. So, I mean, technically it's possible, but I don't see it happening very often. I don't know about you guys, but.
Chris or Carl, do you have comments on this? Good.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, getting asked out on a date or something. You can have multiple guys ask you out, but in the end, you have to choose one.
Correct.
Especially if you signed a contract.
That's the key, Chris. Because I think, it depends if you're looking at it from an immigration perspective or from an employment law perspective.
Right. From an immigration perspective, it's possible, but I think contractually they won't allow them to do that, right?
Yes, because typically when you sign a contract with a specific sponsor, you're going to be signing an employment contract, and that will have binding terms. So you could get yourself into a lot of trouble. As Carl says, you don't want to be dating multiple dates on the same night, right?
Right.
Okay.
But it's not.
Sorry?
I said, even though it's possible, it's not the normal thing to do.
No, that's true. Okay, Rafi Conception asked, I was petitioned before actually my family by my grandfather, and we became current last June 2018. However, my grandfather died in March 2018. Will it affect or matter in case I'll be filed for EB3 by my employer by this time? Thank you very much. God bless. Who was next?
No, it won't have any effect. You can be, a lot of my wife's from Cebu, a lot of her relatives, applied for them, but she eventually got her green card through her job. So, it's like a horse race. It's whichever petition, whichever priority date comes in first, that's the one you can use, and the other ones you can put aside. So in this case, the grandfather died, so that's not really an option, but it doesn't affect the employment-based petition.
Okay. So, Rafi, no need to worry about that. Paddy Perez asked, I'm a nurse graduate. I wanted to move to the US with no experience as a nurse. How can I move there? Are there companies who will be willing to petition? Chris, I'm not sure if you can answer that question, or maybe I can.
Yeah, why don't you go at it, Tanya?
Well, I think, the thing to know, Patty, is, it's not to say it's impossible, but most employers here in the US will want you to have experience. So I would strongly encourage you to get experience before you apply to the US, not just from a perspective of getting an employer, but also from the perspective of when you get here, you need to be able to cope with the workload. And if you don't have experience, that's going to be very stressful and very difficult for you. It's not just that the hospitals or the nursing homes are trying to be punitive. It's just that they also want to set you up for success. Keyboy Perina asked, we've asked that question, sorry. Anthony's calling in from Saudi. Annabelle saying hi. We have a question from Enrique. How about if you have a working permit based on pending asylum case? Is it possible to apply for the EB3 visa if you find a sponsor in the US and then adjust the status? Jacob, I think maybe you can answer Enrique.
Yeah, so basically, the asylum is not, shouldn't affect any future petition for employment. He's saying that he has a pending asylum? Is that what he said?
He said he is here on a working permit based on pending asylum.
So those asylums can be pending for, 4 or 5 years or more. And, it depends on actually, on how he filed for his asylum, and if he was in legal status or he wasn't, it depends on that as well. But he potentially could file for an EB3 as well. I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one that this person is going to want to talk to an attorney about a personal case. It's really hard to answer that kind of question.
It depends how he entered, if he had any overstays and stuff like that. So.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of nuances to that question, Enrique. So I would strongly suggest, if you don't have an immigration lawyer that you're working with, to get a very strong immigration lawyer that specializes in nursing, and they can go through the nuances of your case and make sure that they give you an accurate answer to that question. Okay, let's take one from, the questions are coming fast and furious. I'm getting frantic because I want to ask everybody's question. Okay, so we have another one that was posted confidentially, asking, should I get married before filing my application? My partner is a widower with 3 kids. If I get married before the application, can his kids join in the petition? So let's answer that part of the question, and then there's a second part. Carl.
Yeah, should definitely get married. Otherwise, you're the only one who's going to come with a green card, and then you get married and sponsor all the family members. But if you get married, your spouse will be able to immigrate with you, and the kids, if they're small kids, they'll be able to immigrate. If they're over a certain age, usually over 18, then they may not be able to immigrate with you, but the under 18-year-old kids will.
Okay. And then there was a second part to that question. My partner worked in Dubai for 3 years. He left alone there and will be needing a police clearance. He has been in Manila for the past 8 years. How would that work?
Yeah, that can get. We had a case very similar to that, and they gave this woman. She came to me because she had a similar thing where she owed money. It wasn't really a criminal case. It was really a civil case. But they gave her a lot of trouble as far as coming into the U.S. So it's best to try to resolve that before you immigrate to the U.S.
Okay, because that can really complicate the case.
Yes.
Chris Bouquer. Oh, I'm not even going to attempt the last name. Let's just call Bouquer. Bouquer asks, a Filipino nurse. Hi, a Filipino nurse with current ICU experience, active New York license, active visa screen certificate due to expire in 2023 with CGF&S certificate. I know this one has no expiry. She wants to know, does she need to take the IELTS to file her I-140 even if she has an active visa screen? She asked me to raise the question. I know the answer, but Chris.
So if she has the visa screen, then she did take a qualifying English examination. So she does not need to again take the IELTS.
And it's only going to expire in 2023. So she should be absolutely fine in terms of the timelines.
Unless she's Indian, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I think she's Filipino.
Oh, even better. Okay.
Yeah, so that's good. Okay. Another one that's posted confidentially for Jacob. I have 2 children who are included in my visa application, EB3, and in the DS-260, they are to accompany. Is it possible to first let my children enter in America for a few days and then exit again for 7 months? Oh, we're getting this question quite a lot, actually. Jacob, what's your best advice on that?
The kids have no tourist visas?
No, I think what she's saying is that she's at the DS-260 stage. So when she gets to the consulate, she wants her kids to enter, and then they will leave. And I think maybe they're at school or something like that. We actually had another nurse who had a similar situation, and she wanted them to go back to the Philippines for 7 months and then to join her in the US. So just to kind of enter.
Right. I mean, as long as they enter, as far as, we had cases like this as well. As long as they enter, they get the processing, get their green card, and then they can leave. As long as they don't stay more than a year, and they have a good explanation, I think it should be fine.
Okay.
But I know that the problem started when they want to finish a degree, and then they overstay. They leave for more than a year, and they didn't apply for a reentry permit. It could be a problem.
Okay.
But they have to enter to get their documents here in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's not very clear, this question, but I think what she's asking is that once they get to the consulate, if they come in and then leave and go back, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the answer on that one. Okay, this is a similar question, so I'm not going to ask that one. Okay, here's a question. Carl, we are a same-sex Filipino couple and planning to get married in Taiwan for legality and recognition purposes, since they will legalize it in May. I'm a nurse and will be processing my EB3 visa. My question is, will it be difficult for me to bring my spouse? If I'm able to include my future spouse on my application, do we need to have our marriage be certified in the Philippines? It will be very hard for us to do so since it's not legal in the Philippines. I really need your views and opinion on this. It will be a great help. Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, we've had a lot of same-sex couples. It's definitely legal in the U.S., so as long as the marriage is legal where it's performed, it does not matter at all whether it's legal, whether it's legal in the Philippines. The U.S. Embassy, when they process the application, is just going to look for a certified copy of the marital certificate, and as long as it's legal, then the people can immigrate together. It's not a problem.
Okay. So I had a nurse that asked me the same question. She's actually in the UK. It was I think it was last week or the week before. She cried so much when she got that answer that it was just broke my heart. So I'm really happy that we can help couples who are struggling with that dilemma if they get married, obviously, in a country that recognizes it. Okay, Chris. Hi, Sir Louise. Please send my question to the upcoming session provided by Kinetics. I paid half for the premium processing for my I-140, and it was filed last February. I only filed and agreed for a premium processing case because this is what the agent advised, and I willingly obliged. When I'm checking my case status on the USCIS website, it's asking for an RFE. This RFE is the second time on my case. I didn't know it could happen. 2 RFEs. Second one was given after the first one has been responded on my case. What are the RFEs being requested nowadays?
Yeah, I mean, an RFE could be for almost any reason. What you really want to do is contact the lawyer or the employer who's filed your case to understand what's on that RFE. But an RFE could be for almost any reason. We see them sometimes very benign, something like maybe a cleaner copy of your college diploma, and other times they're very involved and complex.
Okay.
And also, it's common to have multiple RFEs. In fact, the most that I had for a case were 6 RFEs for one case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is crazy. It was a back and forth on an H-1B, 6 RFEs.
Wow.
But it can happen, 2 or 3, it can happen.
And then was it approved?
It was. Yeah.
Good job, Jacob.
It almost became like a game between us and the officer. Like,
Like a tennis match.
Right.
Okay. Oh my goodness, we're out of time. Okay, so last question. Okay, let me take one from the chat. Okay, so we have a question. Let me take something that hasn't been asked before. Okay, we have a question. I'm just trying to pick one that hasn't been similar to one that we've asked. Oh, we got a question from JB, who asked, is it legal for an employer to sign you a contract in the state of California? Other nurses say it's illegal.
No, it's not illegal. They can definitely sign a contract in California.
Yeah,
They confuse it because we are at will, but it doesn't apply to those nurses because their contract is designed to secure their relationship or their employment. That's all.
I'm not sure what that question, where that question is coming from. Let me ask one more. Okay.
There's a good question right here, Tanya.
Yes.
Which is very common. Somebody's asking if they now become a British citizen, will that change their priority date?
Okay.
Right? And it's not, because it goes based on country of birth unless they marry somebody who is from a different country.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, Jacob. Well, we're out of time. We have so many questions. Yeah, I feel bad. I think what we're going to do is I will just keep these questions for next time. We will be doing these Facebook Lives once a month. So the LaFora admin will be posting the next days. We're trying to keep it try and keep it within a month time frame. So, every Friday, once a month. So I will definitely be keeping these questions, and we will be keep asking the panel. Please feel free to share this Facebook Live session with your friends and colleagues, because I'm sure there are many common questions that many of you are asking, and we want to make sure that we get your questions answered as quickly and as painlessly as possible. I want to thank the panel so much for your time. I think we're living in very exciting times right now. The visa bulletin is looking good. We have many petitioners and sponsors who are looking at hiring international nurses right now to supplement the recruitment of nurses, because there is a growing shortage in the US. Both hospitals, nursing homes, rehab, surgery centers across the board. So I want to thank everybody for their time. Any closing comments, Carl, Chris, Jacob?
I think it's just going to be a good end of the year, optimistic, based on Charlie's predictions. Right?
Yeah. I talked to Charlie, and I just want to say, I don't want to give worst case scenario, but I mean, things are getting better, and the end of the fiscal year is at the end of September. But with the demand for nurses rising all the time, he does expect that in the new year, there's going to be some retrogression. So that means the numbers, which are getting shorter, the wait times, are going to start getting longer. So if you're thinking of coming to the US, this would be the ideal time. If you wait till next year or something, you might find that it's really longer than you expected. So apply now.
There's a window of opportunity, everybody. So let's make sure that we get in the petitions as quickly as possible. Thank you so much for your time, everybody. And we look forward to speaking to you next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.